There is a secret to running fast, and it's probably not what you think. I've got the coach, Lindsay Parry, with me today, and today we're going to be talking about what it takes to improve your running pace. Lindsay, what's the number one mistake that you see amateur athletes making?
Almost all amateur athletes just run the easy runs too fast. We've had this so many times that as soon as you hear me say that you run your easy runs too fast, all you hear is that you need to run all your runs slow. And that's not what we're talking about today. But what we are going to teach you is how to run slow to run fast.
Yeah, I love that. And often people say, oh, I don't want to run slow because those are the junk miles. But that's not actually the case, is it?
No, not at all. And in fact, by running in the wrong place or running in the wrong zone or running too fast when you are running slow or meant to be running slowly, those are the junk miles. So if we break down what we're trying to achieve in this process, on the one end of the scale, we've got the easy running, aerobic development, laying the foundation, improving running economy, improving running efficiency. And on the other side of the coin, we've got running fast, anaerobic adaptation. We've got neuromuscular adaptation, which actually just trains the body to be able to move faster. And then in between those, we've got very non-specific adaptation that drives fatigue and increases risk of injury. Plus, and this is the real kicker, it prevents you from being able to get the best out of your high intensity sessions.
Lindsay, we often get people saying to us, but I like running fast. It makes me feel good. What do you say to that?
It's human nature. Okay, that is kind of the type A that exists in most people, because when you are running a bit faster, you are feeling good and you get to the end of a workout feeling like, now that was a workout. I feel like I really did something. However, in order to have sustainable training over a long term and maintain the consistency you need to be able to perform when it comes to race day, we've got to have different types of sessions that allow us to get the adaptation that we need to be able to perform on race day. So what am I getting at here is that when we run slowly, we are developing aerobic adaptation. I would say that 90% of the people that we are dealing with on a daily basis, and that really I'm talking to you, is that they are running 5Ks or longer. Okay? As soon as we get into this area, the primary driver of exercise is through aerobic energy. What does that mean? It means that in the presence of oxygen, our bodies are able to provide the energy we need to keep moving. Okay? Let me give you a practical example. You want to run a sub 3 hour marathon.
Let's just get this right. I'm not running a sub 3 hour marathon, but this is just the example we're using.
Yeah, so if you want to run a sub 3 hour marathon, it's 4:15 per K or just under 7 minutes per mile, okay? To be able to sustain that over a long period of time, we have to be able to supply the energy required through oxidative pathways. So the primary fuel source is going to come from pathways that are using oxygen, okay? Non-oxygen pathways can only drive you for around 30 to 40 minutes of exercise. Now what happens is that typically a runner who is running at 4:15 per K for 3 hours has a anaerobic threshold of plus minus 345. I don't want to get too stuck in the weeds over there, but 345. Okay, that means they can run for half an hour at that pace. If you do too many miles that are too close to that number, besides inducing fatigue, besides having the high injury risk, what you do is you shift your anaerobic threshold lower, so it'll move to 355 and so on and so forth. And if you don't have a highly developed aerobic system, you move your aerobic threshold slower and slower, so that when you hit the wall on race day, you're going to fall to your lowest common denominator, your aerobic threshold. Now, if you have an anaerobic threshold of 345 and you're highly aerobically conditioned, you're probably sitting at around about 425 to 445 as your aerobic. Okay, now if we don't get the balance right, that means that on race day you're going to pop, you're not going to be able to sustain your 4:15 per K to get you all the way to the finish line. You're going to blow out and end up running a 3:20, 3:25 marathon.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this question because I've asked, like, I like running fast, that's why I do it. But we also get the feedback that people go, it's uncomfortable to run that slow. It's like, it hurts me. I get more tired. How do you counter that? Because sometimes you feel like you're going backwards, you're going back in time, you're running so slow.
Look, there absolutely is a psychological component to this. And as I said earlier, people do want to get to the end of an exercise session feeling like they've done work, okay? Part of the problem is that people have grooved this pace, these junk miles, to the point that that is where they feel the most comfortable. But if we look at it as a pure physiological problem, there's no way you can be more tired from running at a slower pace in the right area where you're supposed to be running than if you're running too hard all the time. One aspect of this that is confusing for people, or that makes it easy to make this mistake, is that this easy running, or zone 2 as some people call it, is quite broad. Okay, again, because the maths is easy for me, I'm going to use the 3-hour runner. The 3-hour marathon runner probably has a range of from around 4:30 to about 5:15. Okay, so we're talking about a 45-second or more range where they are still running aerobically. Now, the aerobic physiological adaptation is going to be the same at around the 4:30, 4:35 mark as it is in the 5 to 5:15 region. However, the 4:35 has an extremely high cost to soft tissue, to muscles, tendons, and ligaments. And as we go slower, a low cost, a physical cost, damage that's done day on day. And so that's why it's so important to run easy enough so that we actually preserve the soft tissue. And that means that when it gets to track day, when it gets to hill day, when it gets to doing your tempo work, that means that you actually have more energy available to nail those workouts.
Yeah, Lindsay, and you've spoken about feel quite a bit, and that is, I think most of us run with devices, and we almost have lost what it feels like to run at a specific pace, and that's part of the problem is learning that skill. And the interesting thing is that's a skill that you can learn. The team here at Coach Parry actually created a challenge that we did in this video to see how we run to feel, and you can do the exact same challenge by watching right now.